Next is Stufflebeam CIPP model. CIPP stands for Context, Input, Process, and Product. This model helps us evaluate programs not just at the end but all throughout their development and implementation. It is a decision-oriented model, meaning it's designed to help decision makers at every phase. Let's begin with the 4 stages of the CIPP model. Context evaluation, what should we do? Input evaluation, how shall we do it? Process evaluation, are we doing it as planned? Product evaluation, does it work? At each stage, we follow a set of systematic steps to ensure we gather meaningful and actionable insights. Steps taken in all the stages. 1. Identify the kind of decision to be made. 2. Identify the kinds of data needed to make that decision. 3. Collect the data. 4. Establish the criteria to determine the quality of the data. 5. Analyze the data based on the criteria. 6. Organize needed information for decision makers. Let's look more closely at each stage with examples. 1. Context evaluation, what should we do? Purpose, to assess the needs, problems, and opportunities within a specific setting. Example. In a school where students are underperforming in math, we ask, what decisions must be made? Example, setting new learning goals. What data do we need? Example, test scores, teacher interviews. After collecting and analyzing, we determine the key needs, poor instructional resources and lack of teacher training. 2. Input evaluation, how shall we do it? Purpose, to identify the best strategies, plans, and resources to meet the goals. Example. To improve math performance, do we adopt a new textbook series, hire a specialist, or offer training? We evaluate the cost, effectiveness, and feasibility of each option. We collect budget data, past program results, and teacher readiness to choose the best course of action. 3. Process evaluation, are we doing it as planned? Purpose, to monitor implementation and allow mid-course corrections. Example. If we scheduled Saturday math tutorials, we now observe whether sessions are conducted regularly. Students are attending. Teachers follow the planned lessons. We collect attendance sheets, teacher logs, and student feedback to verify if the plan is being followed and make improvements if needed. 4. Product evaluation, does it work? Purpose, to assess the outcomes of the program and guide future decisions. Example. Did students improve their performance after the intervention? We compare pre- and post-test results. We evaluate student attitudes and teacher feedback. Based on the data, we determine if the program met its objectives or if further revisions are needed. In summary, each of these 4 stages helps decision makers improve and adjust educational programs with clarity and evidence. By applying the 6 steps of decision-making in each stage, the CIPP model ensures that our evaluation is structured, data-informed, and purposeful. Next is an important and people-centered approach to curriculum evaluation, stakes-responsive evaluation model, developed by Robert Stake. Stake's model emphasizes listening to students, teachers, parents, and administrators, and being responsive to what they care about most. Let's walk through each of the 9 steps of Stake's model. Step 1, we begin by meeting with stakeholders, our clients, staff, and audiences. Let's say we're evaluating a new mathematics enrichment program. We start by talking to the school principal, our client, the math teachers, our staff, and even the parents and students, our audience. We ask, what do you expect from this program, and what concerns do you have? Step 2 is to determine the scope of the evaluation. From our discussions, we learned that the school wants to know more than just test scores. They're curious about how engaged the students are. So we decide to evaluate both academic performance and student motivation. That's our scope. Step 3. We observe the program closely. Here, we actually sit in on math classes. We pay attention to how teachers teach and how students behave. These observations help us understand what's really going on. Step 4. Discover the real purposes and concerns. On paper, the program says it's designed for advanced problem solving. But when we speak to teachers, we discover they're using it for remediation instead. That gap between stated and actual purpose is crucial in making our evaluation meaningful. Step 5. We identify key issues and design evaluation tools. Let's say one issue that came up is student boredom. So we develop tools, like student journals and teacher feedback forms, to help us gather data about engagement levels. Step 6. Select data collection methods. To investigate engagement, we decide to use a mix of methods: video recordings of classes, interviews with students, peer observations, and a rating scale completed by teachers. Step 7. Now it's time to collect the data. Over the course of a month, we gather classroom videos, conduct interviews, collect logs from teachers, and gather student work. The key is to collect data fairly and systematically. Step 8. Organize the data and prepare portrayals. We don't just show graphs. We create case studies. For example, we tell the story of 3 students, showing how each experienced the program differently. One video clip might show a shy student who gradually became more active in group work, evidence of the program's impact. Step 9. Report the findings in ways that make sense to each audience. For administrators, we might provide a written report. For teachers, we share video clips and facilitate discussion. For parents, we create a summary infographic highlighting both achievements and areas for improvement. Stakes-responsive evaluation model invites us to see the human side of evaluation, to understand the stories, the contexts, and the values behind the numbers. Next is Scriven's consumer-oriented evaluation. This model puts emphasis on the needs and experiences of the end user, the student. It is outcome-focused and thoroughly examines the quality of educational materials based on how well they serve learners. Let's begin by reviewing the key parts of the evaluation tool we will use. This tool has 3 major sections: preliminary information, criteria, and recommendation. 1. Preliminary information. Before we evaluate content, we first fill in these details. Title, name of the instructional material. Authors, who wrote it. Publisher, publishing company. Copyright date, how recent is it? Material evaluator, that's you. This helps identify and record the material being assessed. 2. Criteria for evaluation. Now we evaluate the instructional material based on 16 criteria. I'll go over each one with examples. 1. Content covers a significant portion of the course competencies. Example, compare the content with the curriculum guide. Does the material address the expected learning competencies? 2. Contents are up to date. Example, are the examples, data, and references aligned with current standards, e.g., recent science discoveries or current economic trends? 3. Reading level is appropriate for most students who will use the material. Example, for grade 5 students, are the words familiar and the sentences not too complex? 4. Intended learning outcomes or competencies are stated. Example, at the start of each unit, are there clear objectives like students will be able to identify parts of a plant? 5. Formative and summative assessments are stated. Example, are there quizzes and tests? Are they clearly identified as check your understanding or a unit test? 6. Activities are varied to meet the needs of students. Example, are there group work, individual activities, hands-on tasks, and reflection questions? 7. Teacher's guide is included with management suggestions. Example. Does the material come with a TG that provides sample lesson plans or classroom management tips? 8. Materials are presented in logical order. Example, are lessons sequenced from basic to complex? Do concepts build on one another? 9. Learning outcomes, competencies, and/or tasks are measurable. Example, are outcomes like explain how photosynthesis works measurable, or vague like understand the plant world not measurable? 10. Degree of match between learning activities and intended learning outcomes. Example, if the outcome is to solve word problems, do activities practice solving, or do they just define terms? 11. Quality of test items and degree of match with intended learning outcomes. Example, are test questions aligned with the lessons taught, and do they assess what students were supposed to learn? 12. Quality of direction on how students will process through the materials. Example, are instructions clear? Is it obvious what the student should do at each step? 13. Quality of drawings, photographs, and/or other materials. Example, are visuals clear, culturally relevant, and helpful for understanding the content? 14. Overall design of the learning activities for individual instruction. Example. Can a student learn independently using this material, or are the directions too dependent on teacher support? 15. Quality of management procedures for teachers, in teachers' guides. Example, are there tips for time management, classroom implementation, or dealing with common student issues? 16. Optional, list course map competencies covered by the instructional material. Example, you can include a table mapping each chapter or unit to specific competencies from the curriculum guide. 3. Recommendation. After evaluation, decide. Retain for further review. Reject. Example comment. This material aligns well with 90% of the curriculum competencies and presents up-to-date content with excellent visuals. However, the teacher's guide lacks classroom management tips. Retain for further review. Scriven's model reminds us that instructional materials should serve students effectively, accurately, engagingly, and accessibly. Our role is to be thoughtful reviewers who advocate for quality in the learning process. In conclusion, the 5 evaluation models are Bradley's effectiveness model, Tyler's objective-centered model, Stufflebeam's CIPP model, Stakes responsive model, and Scriven's consumer-oriented evaluation, offer diverse yet complementary perspectives on assessing educational programs and materials. Each model emphasizes a unique focus, from alignment with objectives, attention to stakeholder concerns, and contextual analysis, to practical usability and consumer satisfaction. Together, these models provide educators and curriculum developers with a well-rounded framework for making informed, evidence-based decisions that enhance teaching and learning.